Welcome to Mayor's Minute on castanet.net. I'm Dustin Godfrey, and once again, I'm joined by Mayor Andrew Jacobite. Welcome.
Yeah, great.
We're going to talk today about the decision on Tuesday to do with marijuana dispensaries. But first, I wanted to ask you about the bingo hall. We've learned that it's closing down. Does the city have any interest in that parcel of land?
Well, I think anytime you can add to adjoining or contiguous land beside a park, in terms of Kings Park, it's very well used for soccer. It becomes attractive. We've had some initial conversations on it, but I think those all have to be taken into the context of our infrastructure deficit, our budget, what we can afford, and also we're just going through our Parks and Rec master plan, and so what would be the plan for that location in terms of more soccer fields or tennis or pickleball or what other amenity? And so there's a few unanswered questions, so we're it's fair to say there's still some interest, but we weren't really ready to pull the trigger on anything.
Okay. So now getting over to the debate on dispensaries, closed or shut down 5 of them rather, approved 2 of them. So is there any concern that any of them are going to stay open or are just going to open anyway?
So I think last night it was a good debate, a long debate. We've given 2 6-month temporary use permits. So it started answering some of the questions of those who there were 7 applications, 4 active, and until the federal government puts something more concrete in place, we do have people wanting to open or get in position, and that's been causing some concern in the community. So we've tried to address that by doing the temporary use permits, in which we allow 2, and the other are not deemed to be active business licenses, and so we will continue with enforcement, whether that is fines or injunctive action. So we will start targeting those who are not trying to comply, and the ones that we did approve, we've thought they were very professional in their approach, a heavy focus on the medicinal elements or providing medical marijuana, and I've made every effort to try to comply with the city in terms of the provisions that we've put in our temporary use permits, and just this whole process of trying to find some middle ground or trying to find a solution.
But in terms of the fines, I mean, we found throughout the late summer and early fall that those just didn't seem to work. So will the city escalate a little bit more quickly?
Yeah, so I think it's about $17,000 we've collected in fines. I think 14,000 of them have been from one entity. That entity's probably caused the most amount of feedback or complaints or concerns in the community. So I think where fines may have worked in the past, we'll be elevating that to more injunctive action, because now we've been a bit more definitive, saying we're going to allow 2 temporary use permits, and anything else until there's more legislation we're not going to allow. So we'll come after you, and certainly any one of those who've been blatant about I don't care if it's illegal, I don't care if the city doesn't want it, I'm going to still operate. At some point in time, the city has to put their foot down, and we're prepared to do that. And it's part of the reasons of the ones we did allow, that they have a $5,000 business license fee to help with dealing with the legal elements of enforcement.
Sure. That $5,000 business license fee, though, that was for per year, was it not? And so these permits are now only 6 months. So does that mean that the city, between the 2 shops that it has approved, will be just getting about $5,000 altogether?
Yeah, I'm assuming we'd probably just prorate that, yeah, because it is a 6-month thing. The staff report was going to be for an 18-month temporary use permit. Council comfort was a bit more to 6 months, because that's probably how long before the federal government starts at least outlining what their regulations are going to look like. We did make this decision on the heels of a task force recommendations being made public, which is within the next week or 2. But the issue is in our community now, and we wanted to start start to regulate some of the business operations and get in front of it.
But the reason I asked about the business license, the revenue that the city is going to be taking in from that, when the staff was initially reporting on that, it was about $52,000, a little more than $52,000 that the city would have taken in from 7 dispensaries, which it was said that could be going toward maybe a legal fund that would help, I guess, the city to deal with any legal challenges that have come up. With only $5,000 coming in now, does that leave the city a little bit more vulnerable?
Well, I think it looked at with 7 applications at $5,000 each. There was $17,000 in fines collected already, so that was sort of where they built that kitty. Part of that was put aside for legal challenges, which haven't really happened elsewhere. Part of that also is for staff time to administer and enforce that. Injunctive action is expensive, but again, when you have businesses blatantly defying city ordinance, that you sort of you're obligated to fight that, and we were committed to doing that.
Sure. That's been this week's Mayor's Minute on castanet.net. I'm Dustin Godfrey, and once again joined by Mayor Andrew Jacobite. You can send your questions to letters@castanet.net.